Morning. Thanks everyone for coming out. My girlfriend woke me at 10 to 7. It's like, you're not oversleeping, are you, Jørgen? It's like, no. And the alarm just went twice. So yeah, you have to go back to the start. Okay, my name is Jørgen. I work as the CEO of Megapop. I've been doing games for more than 20 years now in various capacities. So today I'm going to talk a bit about the games industry. Then I'm going to touch on the company that we started last year as a result of our years in the gaming industry. So let's just start, and then there's going to be questions afterwards. It's like a new presentation for me. I never made it, so yesterday evening I was sitting there. I was like, okay, I hope I remember the slides as I go through them, but I'll try to. So it's a bit free-form. I'll just try to discuss stuff. I work in an industry which is incredibly agile. It moves very fast, and it's extremely hard to understand even for us who are in it. And it's hard to predict, and so on and so forth. But it started 30 years ago, 35 years ago. When I was 5 years, I got an Atari 2600 at home. I remember the first day still. It was like Pong, 2 balls back and forth, and then I was just hooked. And since then, I've been doing everything I can to play. So that's been 35 years and more than 20 years working with it now. And it started through Tech Explorer, so you can say the industry is actually way older. And a game could take 2 to 3 months to make, and one guy could make it. And you could see that as well. And now the industry has kind of turned in on itself again. So once again, a guy can make a game in 2-3 months, or even 2-3 days. So we're back at scratch in a sense. The production is also way bigger. It's been 35 years of growth, change, and unpredictability. It's been very hard to read where the trends are, what's coming up, where it's going, but it's been the eras of the consoles. Some things have come and go, just being wiped out, but it's been the consoles that's been the strongest platform. That's no longer so. Today, the mobile is the #1 home platform for games. And the trends in gaming are quite clear at the moment. They go in absolutely all directions. Today, games are played by everyone. Just over the last 5 years, we got 500 million or more new gamers into the market with the smartphone. Facebook did their share. So it's been a hell of a ride. The business models has changed too. So now in Norway today, there are no companies doing physical products anymore. Out of the 80 or so game development companies, not one of them are going to release a box in retail. It's gone. And that's the reality that we are in the middle of. And this is also reality we're in the middle of. The metrics game have taken over our... Or... Was that a rabbit or a cat? Whatever. So when I love to read the news about gaming, and I read it every morning and all through the day, and I really like to stay up to date on it. But just the diversity of the things you have to understand these days is quite staggering. So you have to focus and be good at something. But what's true is that it's become more and more of a science. So we used to make games. We could sit in the basement or sit in a place for 3-4 years, make it, release it, hope it sell well, go back to the basement. And this was the cycle of our industry. These days, the cycle of our industry is to release a product and start to measure it. Data mine it, use metrics, A/B, look at the average revenue per paying user, daily average revenue per paying user, etc., etc., etc. The list of acronyms is frighteningly long, and you have to understand it. So if you're not good at metrics, they say, and you want to work in the new parts of the games industry, you're probably not going to do well unless you are lucky. And very, very few people are. And through these years, all these things have gone away. I don't have a Mac myself, so I'm not quite sure how to take the next one.
Just press the space.
I tried. Yeah. And lots of things that come, saw, and went. So the big hype, I had a similar speech like 2 years ago when I spoke about the rise of Facebook. So I looked at those slides yesterday evening, and it's like all those slides are kind of outdated now. And it's like, this is the new trend, it's coming now, it's going big, companies are being sold for ridiculous amounts. Of course, Facebook isn't gone as a gaming platform. You know, more than 100 million people play Candy Crush Saga. It's just the hype and the fad around it has somewhat waned. So now it's the next big thing right now is mobile. This is the Virtual Boy from Nintendo. They were really, you know, foresighted, wanted to make like a virtual experience. It came and went as fast. But some of these inventions are coming back in time to pick up with us again when the technology is sufficient to do it. Right now, there's some old dogs with new tricks. It's the PlayStation and Xbox One coming for Christmas in the US. It's a rats race. There's also the Wii U, Nintendo's machine, which has been fighting to get some dominance, but haven't succeeded so far. They have already released. And there's the Nintendo 2DS. They actually take away the 3D version and go back to 2D. It seems like people want that more after the 3D fad has a bit of ended. And then there's the PC, which of course is going strong. And what these machines can give us is incredible experiences. So they can give us stuff that no other machines can do. So this is a shot from Grand Theft Auto. I was running around it the other day and I saw a helicopter and I ran into it. I hijacked it. I flew up over the city. It was a sunset. It was beautiful. I pressed the wrong button and by mistake I threw myself out of the helicopter and the city was beneath me and I pushed another button and the parachute came out and I was like, wow, games are becoming really awesome. But these games take $100 million or more to make and many years and hundreds of people. So these are the domain of the console. And the console, many people say the console are going down. That's true. But they will still do amazing with the blockbusters for many more years to come. There's also many more technologies coming at the moment. I call them new kids on the block because we're not quite sure where they will go. It's a new machine from NVIDIA who make all your graphics chips, a portable one. It's a new Steam machine which is going to do streaming and everything else in your living room and puts the Linux platform into your living domain, fighting Microsoft for more rights for games if you want. It's a smart TV. Everybody says that's the next big wave that's going to go. I'm not quite sure how, and I don't think any in the games industry are yet, but there are tons of ideas for how it can go. It's the Oya box which came and I think will go. And then of course it's the Google Smart Glass. Who knows what kind of games we can make with it? I had lots of discussion with people, so like you put in the chip for Monster downtown Oslo, and you just go. And spawns around corners, and who knows what we can do with it. Probably really cool stuff. We'll see. Some of them might die, some of them might come. We don't have a real clue about what's going to happen in 5 years. And that means this is a super exciting and super scary industry to work in. I think this is almost a life-changing moment for me. I was at a games conference in August, and I went to a company called CCP. They make space simulation MMOs. And they had a new hobby project going, which one of their guys had made, or a team of their guys had made. So I put on these virtual reality glasses. So there's like complete virtual reality. You put on the earphones so you can hear nothing. And then I was jacked into the cargo hull of a spaceship. And I was sitting there and it was like lighting down and I could hear nothing, I could see nothing except the space. And then I was shot into space with lasers and dogfights and I was in between asteroids and I was nothing else and no other place than in that asteroid field and it was super exciting. So finally I saw like the breakthrough of virtual reality and I think it will come strong. I saw an idea on Vega the other day where you could do, was it Euro Trailer 2? Where you can drive through Europe on a trailer. But with these glasses, they said it actually was awesome. You could sit in your trailer, listen to country music, you know. So I believe in this. The technology, the best people in technology are currently on it. The people who invented Doom and the 3D revolution many, many years ago. So let's see what's will come of it. Right now, it's a bit glitchy. There's some bugs in it. I think they will fix it because people want it. At least I want it. Of course, this is a scary technology too. Just think of this with a horror movie, and you have a kid at home who's 10, who shouldn't play that game, and he's alone, and he can't see anything, and of course, this brings up dilemmas, even more dilemmas for our black sheep industry. But still, despite all these technologies and platforms and amazing things coming, it's the portables which are the it at the moment. This is where most of the investments are going, this is where most of the consumers are going in. It's a significant continued growth. We see the attach rate for games are, depending on countries, somewhere between 30 and 50, 60% on games. So for each smartphone, there's going to be, or for each 2 smartphones, there's going to be 1 gamer. which is super interesting. So the new audiences are coming in all countries. So it means if you make a hit game now, you can be number one in 150 countries simultaneously. So culture becomes more global. Much smaller teams can make these games on much smaller budgets. So you can make fantastic games again with 10 people in a year, or you can make it with 3 people in 3 months. This is a new opportunity for innovation, gründerskap in good Norwegian, and other aspects, but it's also a quagmire in the sense that thousands and tens of thousands of people are going for this, because we live in the dream industry. So we're like the music industry. Everybody wants to make a game because it's cool, but it's just the same. Making a hit is incredibly hard. And of course, it's significant revenues and valuations of these companies. It's gotten to the point where it's getting insane. So there's a new company in Japan called Gung Ho. They have one game called Puzzle and Dragons. Their value is now higher than Nintendo. They rose 6,000% on the stock exchange, valued at $14.4 billion US dollars. The Angry Birds valued at 1.5 billion euros. You know, the company is not old. Candy Crush. Candy Crush, that's the one game you heard about from them. Great game, by the way. I'm addicted. It's going on public and the stock exchange in New York now, and they're asking $5 billion for it. This is a company which is just a few years old, hitting the wave on mobile, and this is what's possible in the games industry. But as you can see, these 4 examples, it's like the Blair Witch of the movie industry. You can make it big by going small, but there's always going to be a handful of companies who does just that, and that goes back to metrics as much as game quality. So this is important to understand. It's not luck, it's metrics. So that's the big thing. And I must say, it's insane. Sitting in this industry, seeing these companies, like, but they have one game, you know? How are they going to repeat the success? How are they going to do that? Because time and again, a lot of I'm not saying these companies, but many companies before them had one success, got the valuation up, going to repeat their success, and they can't because they don't understand how they had the success in the first place. Hence metrics. Our experience, we started our company last year. So we've been doing games for about 21 years. So we've been through a lot of these cycles. I've been working outside in a record chain, buying games as a games journalist, product director in Funcom for 9 years, producer in Funcom, producer in Artplant, and my colleagues have made many of these games. They founded Artplant, founded Funcom. So we're a super experienced team wanting to go back to our roots. So we've been doing big projects now for a long, long time, hundreds of people, tens of millions of dollars, you know, the merry ride of being a creative creator. So last year, we wanted to start something new, and I had the initial idea for it. After Funcom, I did 1 year of Game of Thrones. Sadly, that project failed. But this is me and my buddy, George. We're close. So that was really cool, but that project failed. So I was at a loss, so like what to do further. And that was seeing this industry, which is so hard to understand at the moment. Where do we go with it? I just knew that I had to kind of find my focus again, and this is where I got it. So I'm just going to play a video. It's like a skryte video, but I really like the video, so it's cool. So, can you see it? Yeah. This is me filming inside a helicopter. So we're going up to Snowbourne. And this is actually where I decided to start the company. So it's kind of steep, but it's really fun. So I love snowboarding. Yeah, this is why Oslo is the best city in the world to live in, because you can work all day and go snowboarding. That's perfect. So I was standing on top here, and it was like really quiet, and the people had gone down in front of me, and I was like, and it was quite steep, and I was standing there, and I was like, it wouldn't be good to fall here. But I wasn't scared. I was more like, okay, I need to go there and there and there. And I was like, I said to myself, because I always wanted to start a games company, it's like, you know what, if you can do this, you can start a games company too. If you can stand here and not be scared and calculating about what to do, you can start a games company too. So I came back to the restaurant after the day of boarding, and I started to think more of this idea. And then I said that after I'm done with Game of Thrones, I'll try to start my own company, because I have to make my own games. That's the essence of it. I really wanted to make lighter, simpler games, which are more in tune with where the market has moved, which is mobile, which is where I'm playing. So I got some of the best people with me in Norway, started co-founding the company with me, with tons of experience. So today we are 6 full-time employees, 4 part-time, and about 18 people working on the first project. We do casual and mid-core games. That's where you see all these valuations, that's where they're at. That's what we're going for. I'm not saying we're going for that valuation because we want to make games we want to play ourselves. That's really important. So when we have one game in production, soon launching, another one starting up now, that's just games that we want to play ourselves. That's important because then you feel it in the heart, because then you can take the metrics and the heart and merge it. So let's see what comes out of it. It might be wrong. I had many, many meetings with companies now. I've been speaking with executives on top level, phone meetings for an hour, and it's like, did they mention fun or quality in this 1 hour call? Or was it just revenue, 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 revenue? That's the sad truth of many of these richest companies. I'm not saying this list. We're doing games for iOS, Android, and browser. That means that we are reaching populations. So I do not want to make games for consoles. Consoles are for the elites. With these, in Norway, we reach 97% of the population. We reach the males, the females, everybody, not just the hardcore gamers that we've been focused on so far. And we really understand that games are a service. So when you saw all these trend words, many of these trend words are put into our system somehow, where we data mine and check it and put it into the design as well. So when we design games these days, it's not like it was before. It's designed with many, many of these metrics aspects in mind. We've been around the block before, and we had tons of, been pioneers in the online space. I think with Anarchy Online, that was the first science fiction, massively multiplayer online game in the world. And at that time, there was no knowledge of how this market works. We just had to do a lot of stuff. So we introduced, like, the first to start with digital distribution, the first to launch in for games in the West, first to do the free-to-play business model, and then pioneering with that together with the others at Funcom. We had number one positions in all charts on the planet simultaneously. And yeah, well, one fun thing when we launched Conan, we took so much of the bandwidth of Germany that they shut us out of the country. That was cool. But luckily it was a gamer who worked at Deutsche Telekom. He was like, yeah, I see, we can open you back up again. We took down MIT. That's pretty impressive because so many people played our game. That was back in 2001. So we've been around, we know innovation, but what we're going into now is all new for us. This is the old world of gaming, or whatever you call it. The new world of gaming right now is mobile, so we have to learn tons of new stuff. So our first product is Trolls versus Vikings. What else? I mean, we're Norwegians. And it's coming in Q1, commercial launch in the US in end of January. And it takes, of course, our Norwegian heritage, but I wanted to twist it because Norwegian are really stiff about their heritage. It's, you know, this and this author, it's this and this writer who depicted a troll, and that's how a troll is. And this is how a Viking is. And incredibly enough, there had never, ever in the history of Norwegian culture or any Nordic culture that I know of, has there been released a product which mixes trolls and Vikings. So you might have info otherwise, but so I was like, why not? Why don't take the two biggest IPs of our country and merge it and put some gods on top of it? And with all these risks, I really wanted to ensure that we reduce the risks. So I was looking at the market with my colleagues and like, so what's our favorite game that we can make? And we landed on Plants vs. Zombies. It's a game I absolutely adore. You know, I play it competitively. But we wanted, so that was one of the things we took away. We wanted to make a game like that, but make it into something else. We wanted to use proven technology, not make proprietary technology. A lot of gaming companies fail on this. It's like the smart coder saying, I can make an engine much better than those 50 guys can. It's like, yeah, sure, heard it before. With proven partners, we work with the PR agencies and other people we trust who had lots of successes before in this field. We have to learn a lot here. We use some proven platforms where the people are, and we have proven people with us. So we hope that these are reducing the risk. This is the spiel I'm doing towards investors, by the way, because like there's so much risk in games. It's like, yeah, but we have removed a lot of them. This is our development criteria. I snitched this from Rovio, by the way. They had a presentation on it. And I just altered it because they don't have social or online or the modern stuff, so I just fixed a bit on it. But this is what a modern games in the mobile space needs to have to be successful. So if you look at it, this is where it starts. This is the excitement. You hear it from a friend, or you see it in the App Store, or wherever you see it, really. You're either a fan of a franchise, or you see that it's similar to a game you know before. It has interesting characters which draws you in, or interesting art. It's like, oh, that was cute and cozy and easy to understand in a split second. I'll try that game because the commitment on my behalf is zero. I download it, it's free to play, I start it, like, bang. So time to fun is essential for us these days. We can't have half-hour introductions like, oh yeah, we'll get to the action eventually. It's like action. We have to grab you like this, otherwise you churn, like we call it. It has to have a theme and a story, but not really. Not all games have to. But a theme is, at least is nice. Like Candy Crush, that's a theme, right? So for many, it's the proven concept. So don't innovate too much. I think we've always been working on innovation, but there's no need to innovate on everything, because the second you start to innovate too much and get out of the comfort zone of people, you can either get a smash hit, or you'll be like 9,999 other games who's like, oh, this is weird, I don't understand it. And it has to have these days a free-to-play model. I'm not saying has to have, but it's definitely beneficiary. But if you don't have the metrics, the math, the interest in Excel, or all these things, then you of course should not go that way, because it's a tuning game. When you get to the engagement, when you get the people inside the game itself, it's the time to fun. Impress them right away with all these dazzle. It needs to have stunning visuals, strong gameplay right away off the bat. It needs to have a high product quality. Can you see this out? Yeah. It needs instantly progress towards meta game goals, which is your long-term goals inside the game. So you really have to think of this, first minute, first 5 minutes, first hour, 10 hours, 50 hours, 100 hours, and then you put into the, you have to think this through all the way. How does it work? How does all of it work? Because it's always, the ideas are so simple. And it's so easy to come up with it. So if all of us had red wine, and we're going to make, or beer or whatever, and going to make cool games and give us 2 hours, the list is going to be endless. I was like, that would be cool, and that would be cool, and that feature. It's like, yeah, sure. But then you have to think about what happens with guy X on hour Y when he has this benefit. Wouldn't that destroy the balance in PvP, in player versus player? Like, yeah, but the idea was good, so scrap it. So it's a lot about scrapping ideas, actually, that we're doing. And of course, these days, online functionality, some kind of connection to Facebook so you can share it, some kind of async playing with others. I believe in that. And then it's the retention, the stuff that keeps you inside the game. And of course, this is the same for any culture product or whatever, How it's a story and adventure that keeps you going on, but that normally has an ending. It's the immersive game progress where you think about the game and you go into the game and you just want to keep on playing the game. And the best of all is if you think about the game when not playing, how to play the game when you are going back to the game. That's a favorite of mine, And I'm not saying that on behalf of the consumer, I'm saying that on behalf of me. Because I think, if I move this unit like that instead, it's like, and I love this, and have variety in gameplay, enough variety. It doesn't need to be substantial. And I think you see this more and more in many of the big shots on consoles. They replicate their own formula over and over, and then they invent on 1 or 2 things doing it. And of course, positive monetization. I had the word strong last evening, and it's like, let's change that to positive. Because with this model, at least 90%, or most games, at least 90%, up to 98% of your consumers will never ever pay. And that's okay. So if you have a problem with that, then you shouldn't go for this market, because it's nerve-wracking. So most people will never pay, and it's fine. Make an experience and make the graduation or the system through it for those who want to pay, and give them, speeding up their time, for instance. So I think the best comparison here would be the time-rich, money-poor. You allow them to what we call grind through the game. So let's say in our game, you grind for about 4 kroner per hour. But if you have money, if you have 40 kroner, you can just buy 10 hours of progress if you want to. But you can always get to the stuff. Core audiences for our game, and the audience that I want to please in the future, that I want to try to reach, is nothing less than 12 to 40 years old. It's everyone who loves Plants vs. Zombies and tower defense games on the mobile. It's both male and female, all nations, all cultures. So when I think games we worked on before had customers in 201 nations, I think every nation on Earth. So we are going to go for this again, but a lot more, it's not Conan or Game of Thrones or deep themes. It's, just fun, casual, give you a break in everyday life for 5 minutes. It's a casual strategy game with social and online functionality. So play is the peaceful trolls. So everything you heard about trolls is Viking propaganda. So trolls are nice creatures living in societies in Midgard. And that's the truth, The fact that they turn to stone from sunlight and stuff is just bullshit. So they're people too. The viewpoint is the same as Plants vs. Zombies, but much more depth in place. So we take much of the mechanics from online games and other games. So you can heal stuff, you can move units around. So we have made many twists to the popular tower defense genre. And we also put some modern features to the genre. Many of these have not been done in the genre. We look at the mobile, it's like, why have no one done this before? Because this is easy online technology, and we don't know why. So we're just doing it at the moment. So we'll have multiplayer online battles, async, so you could send back and forth from your friends. So we're in a bus, it's like you have 5 matches waiting in the morning. Take you a minute for each move with each friend. You can move the towers around, you can fight the gods, seamless cross-platform, so if you're on Android and your friend on iOS, you can still play together, or the PC. So we tried to innovate on a few things, but keep a core mechanic in the bottom we know people love. And we want to make transferable online ecosystem, and this is incredibly important these days for gaming companies that want to do well. If you make a game and a product, you want to have some technology that you can move on to the next one. So what we focus on is the backend, the CRM systems, the server, the social connect, and everything else. So we just want to plug new game types on top of this backend system. And of course, this is what every gaming company says. This is like the halcyon days, like, yeah, sure, we'll use the same technology. And when you get to the new games, like, oh, we need this, and then, yeah. But for this company, we will be very focused on it. We also have ranking, rating, and matchmaking, so you got that social element. And like in Candy Crush, you can see where your friends are, you can see their scores. So it's always about your friends, because people hack the high score list on mobile. So it doesn't matter what the world is doing. What matters these days is your friends. So that's what we're turning you up against. So of course, this can be a flop if no friends is playing the game. So this is the work we have to do on a lot of other stuff to get millions into it, because that's where the business is. So you can understand I'm a bit antsy these days. It's like 2 months until soft launch, and it's like, fuck. Yeah. But we are a partner to a research project on optimizing mobile gaming with British Telecom, Institute Telecom, similar in Oslo. So we are really focused on looking at the mobile bandwidth transfer in new ways, and try to make gaming on the mobile and put some more online into it a reality. Of course, lots of companies are doing this. We want to do it well and be one of the leading companies in Europe on this. And when it comes to the characters, it's all about the characters. So we sat down with the Nordic lore and said, it's like, so what is the Nordic lore in worldview? Well, you have the Vikings, they rape, pillage, and drink. And then you have trolls, they are smelly and eat people. And then you have the gods. So I spoke with some Chinese people. Thor, yeah, Marvel character, cool. So we have this misconception, or maybe it's reality, who knows? So we wanted to just flip it upside down. This is the Valkyrie. So I said to the art directors, like, yeah, we really need a sexy woman. We need one sexy woman to sell the game with. It's like, can you make her like a D-cup and, blonde and, the easiest possible way to sell a game? And it's like, the next morning we came together again and he made a beautiful woman. It's like, no, fuck it. Let's make her like we want to make her, This is the Valkyrie. She's out of the job, economic recession in Midgard, has 5 kids, has to feed them, has gone freelancing a bit for the Vikings. So these are some of the different characters that we are making. This is Frank. He's the founder of Troll Liberation Front. He loves flowers. And the Vikings trample on his lily fields. He gets really upset. So this is Romsey, the chef Romsey. He's a connoisseur. So he eats fracking stones, and he has his fracking process internally. It's a deep comment on environmental issues. His big boy, his friend is dead, but he keeps on carrying anyway. This is the supporter. We made him based on Danish soccer supporters. We wanted to have a clap hat, but it didn't work with the art style. So this is Emma. She's the main protagonist. She's a little troll girl, really curious, and she overhears a conversation between someone in the forest, and that's how the story kicks off. Seamus, really shy guy. Wolfgang, he's a fashionista. He's into pelts. And part of many support groups. And we have Janet, Miss Troll 2009. She rips off her head and throws it for everyone. And it just goes. So this is Stuk. Nice way, he's stuck. So this is a stoner troll. Jormund, son of the world serpent. He's gone all emo because his father told him to coil around the earth. So he just escaped from home, went to the trolls, partying with them, and then the Vikings attacked, so he decided to stand up for his friends. This is the daughter of the world serpent, paparazzi favorite, trying to get him back home, but he wanted to stand up for what he believes in. This is the Thrall. We take on all the historical aspects of Norwegian society, or Nordic society, and learn people about this as well. So he's a free man. This is the miner. He mines Norwegian moonstone from Larvik. We got a stone expert, like which Norwegian stones would troll eat as connoisseur? And he has almost a museum at home. Tim Can, intimidating, but when he gets up close, he just hides. So, and so forth and so on. The berserker, of course, eating mushrooms like everybody expects, goes into berserk. Off he goes. Kark Tark is the multi-headed, self-arguing troll, of course, so we can play on all these things as well. And many, many more. So we have about 40 of these characters, each with personality, name, background, but they're not just cute, comic characters. They are gameplay characters, each with pluses and minuses in the field of combat. So there's going to be counters on each of these units. So these guys, for instance, he can heal people. So he puts a totem in, and you have to move the units around him so they heal. And his brother strikes lightning down on the battlefield, so you have to pick which places to do that. And one of their cousins, again, is a geomancer, so he can shape the earth and also take down stones and other hindrances in the playfield. So lots of cool characters. It's really funny to come up with these, by the way. So we sit every week, like, what kind of weird personality does this guy have? So we just put all the human, mental problems or whatever it is, and of course, all your prejudices about what the Vikings actually are. And of course, you got the gods. This is Thor, so you're going to fight Thor, you're going to fight Odin, you'll meet Loki, and I hope that we'll run these games for many years so we can put in all the gods, because this is massive battles. So Thor is the god of bikers, so you see that he's got his nice chariot, and they're not drawing him, they're in the back, so you can fight these guys too. Got great praise feedback from those we've shown it to so far, some of the world-leading media. We haven't actually released any videos yet because we're in the mobile space. We don't hype games like we used to, so it's a bit different. We have to wait until everything is done. But we showed it to a lot of people who thinks it looks tremendous, and it's really fun to play. But I'm in the bubble right now. Some 3 months before launch, I have no clue if this game is good enough. I think it's good. I think it's actually awesome because I just want to keep on playing it. It's like, yeah, score. But I don't know. So this is going to be we're going to find out when we start focus testing in about 2 weeks. We're launching in December in Norway. We're going to test Norway. So Norway is our test market. So Norway, we're going to spend 1 month in Norway measuring data, honing, fixing bugs, and then because, to be honest, no one cares about Norway. I know we like to think so, but if you launch a game in Norwegian in the Norwegian market, it's not like even the Swedes are going to pick up on it if something happens with it. So it's a good market. Most of the internationals do it in New Zealand, Australia, or Canada. So we might choose one of those two because I think we're going to get at least some marketing in Norway. And we're not going to get that in the other countries, so that means we have to purchase users through marketing measures. Then in late January, we'll launch in 4 languages. I hope we have 10 languages out in next year on 3 platforms. That's the goal. So meet me in a year, and I might be bankrupt, or we might be famous, or I don't know. It's actually really hard to predict this industry. We won the Nordic Game Live pitch battle in May, so we can call ourselves the most commercially promising new Nordic game studio for another year. And of course, all the companies you saw are Nordic companies, so this has had tremendous value for us because a lot of those investors who said it were professionals who had invested into those companies. So that means a lot to us, and it's been opening some doors for us as well. We got second place at the biggest conference in Germany right now, in the big indie pitch. We were just selected as one of the top 24 Norwegian growth companies. So we presented last week between gas, oil, fish. So that was pretty cool. But getting people to invest in our industry is like, yeah, sure. We got this de-licing for salmon, or this surveillance for the oil drill on 2,000 meters down, or you. So, yeah. The horde is coming. This is a bug I encountered last week. There was something wrong with what we call the eternal spawn. Just kept on spawning. So you see the supporter is coming in heavy here. We got some miners. So this is it's not going to look like this in the game. What I was happy about was that everything was just flowing smooth. So we're not dealing with Lightning Thunder 3D anymore. We're dealing with art and character in a different way, which means that we don't need all that technology we used to deal with. Midgard is soon opening up. This is like a helicopter view. You'll take it through the forest trolls, up to the marsh trolls, into the mountain trolls. You're going to fight Odin by the Rainbow Bridge. And then we'll just open up and hopefully we'll just keep on going. So we'll see. Or it will shut down here because no one played it. So that's my job for the next few months. And finally, this is great because I was always told I needed a serious business card. So the first thing I said is like, I'm going to get a serious business card now. So this is the multi-headed self-arguing troll with mushrooms, which is great. Okay, I think that's, you can follow us. We update every day on Twitter and Facebook, so you can see how we're doing, our ups and downs, so you can see how it is to develop a game. So please follow us and see what it's about. And I think that's it. Woo!